Hi everyone. Good morning everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here in Leith today. I'm Kate Evans. I'm the Green candidate for this amazing constituency of Edinburgh North East of the Leith, for anyone who whoops over that. I'm delighted that the Scottish Greens Holyrood 2026 campaign starts right here, in a community that represents so much of what we're fighting for. There really is nowhere better to launch our Holyrood campaign. Leith is one of Scotland's most creative, most diverse and most vibrant communities. It's shaped by its history of workers' rights, with the Leith dockers fighting for fair pay and decent working conditions for everyone. And today, we continue to stand in solidarity with communities facing injustice, with Palestine, with migrants and refugees, with the trans community, and with everyone affected by austerity and the cost of living crisis. This area of our city is full of energy and pride, but also of resilience and perseverance. Because Leith has never had it easy. Even now, people here feel the real pressure of rising costs, housing shortages and public services that are stretched to their limits. Leithers, like everyone in Scotland, deserve a politics that listens to them, not just big corporations, greedy landlords and out-of-touch decision-makers based in London. We deserve hope and we deserve change. We don't have to stick with the status quo that simply isn't working for the majority in our society. And we don't have to put up with underfunded services and out-of-control rents that Leithers know all too well. We can have a politics that is grounded, that listens, that is kinder and more caring, and that is willing to take on the big challenges, whether that's the cost of living, the housing crisis, or the climate emergency. And electing more Scottish Greens in May will mean that we can deliver this change. This election is about demanding better, and I am incredibly proud to be standing alongside an amazing team of Green candidates who will make this demand a reality. People like Gillian and Ross, who have consistently stood up for fairness, for communities, and for a Scotland that works for everyone. This campaign is about building that future together, demanding better for Scotland's workers, families and communities. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be out in our communities, knocking on doors, listening and making the case for that real change that works for people and the planet, not profit. And as we head into this election in the spirit of hope and of change, I am delighted to kick off our campaign launch by introducing one of our party co-leaders and our candidate for Central Scotland, Gillian Mackay.
Thanks so much, Kate, for that wonderful introduction to here in Leith. It's only 5 weeks until Scotland votes. Sorry, team. That's only 35 days to go. And the stakes could not be higher. It'll be a choice about the kind of future we want. It'll be about what kind of values we believe in and the kind of Scotland we want to be. We'll be the only party standing on a bold and ambitious message of hope, and with a plan to deliver it. I'm proud to lead our party and proud that there are more of us than ever. There are over 10,150 of us, to be exact. With more people joining us every day from all parts of our country. In every community across Scotland, there are people who are planning to vote Green for the very first time. That is why we stand on the verge of what could be a historic result and a major breakthrough for our movement. People can see the scale of the crisis we face, and they know that we need bold solutions. Prices are soaring, and families are really struggling. Even people who would have considered themselves pretty well off only a few years ago are finding it harder to get by, while thousands more are falling deeper into poverty. They're looking for a choice and a party who will listen to their concerns and act on them. They're looking for MSPs who will be on their side, MSPs who will stand against those who are profiting from their misery. This is one of the richest countries in the world, but there are so many people who are barely scraping by. They're watching the news every day and finding it harder to stay positive. We have wildfires in the summer and extreme flooding in the winter, while household bills are soaring and fossil fuel giants are posting record profits. It's no wonder that more and more people are saying that enough is enough. I don't want us to be a country where thousands of children are growing up in totally avoidable poverty and where hunger is a part of so many daily lives. I don't want us to be a country where a small number of people are getting richer while there are people queuing at food banks and freezing in damp flats. But we don't have to be that country, and we can do so much better than this. There are millions of people who have waited for 14 years so that we could be finally rid of the Tories. We were always told that all we needed was that one final push and we would finally get them out. In those 14 years, we had to endure so much. There was Brexit, then Boris Johnson and Liz Truss, and the economic chaos that went with it. But now, after all that, we've got a Labour government that promised change, while targeting disabled people with cuts, punishing refugees with brutal and repressive policies, and arming Israel's genocide against Palestinians. We have a Labour Prime Minister that even his Scottish leader thinks is unfit for office. So if not even Anna Sarwar thinks that Keir Starmer's good enough, why do we have to put up with him? And now, on top of all of that, we have the very real prospect of a Nigel Farage government in Downing Street. That's not the change we were promised. That's not the change that so many people waited so long for. And it's no wonder that so many feel disillusioned. That's why we're asking Scotland to demand better. To demand better housing. To demand better wages. To demand better and cheaper childcare. And to demand a better future. Over the days ahead, we'll be sharing our plans for how we will deliver just that. We'll lay out our vision of a fairer, kinder and more equal Scotland. A Scotland where we seize the vast opportunity that comes from taking climate action, rather than waiting to see the pain that's hit Grangemouth and Mossmorton being repeated time and again. A Scotland where families are no longer forced to make the heartbreaking decision of heating or eating on a daily basis. A Scotland that works for everyone and where everyone is given a fair chance to live a better life. A Scotland where we care for each other and the world around us and ensure that generations have the best possible life chances and opportunities. We've spent the last 5 years doing all we can to make the country a greener and better place. We've wiped out millions of pounds of school meal debt to help parents and fed thousands of children through expanding free school meals. We've scrapped peak rail fares and introduced free bus travel for everyone under 22. This simple change has opened up our country for young people and their families, putting money back in their pockets and protecting our planet by making public transport the first and, crucially, the best option. But we have a lot further to go. This can be a far fairer country and a far more equal one. Our manifesto will be published in 2 weeks' time, but when I think about the policies we've already announced, they set us apart from the other parties. Not just in terms of ambition, but also in terms of our values. A fairer and better wage for care workers who step into people's lives at the most vulnerable moments and provide dignity, stability and compassion in a system that often falls short. A national rollout of walk-in mental health support centres and year-on-year real terms increases in mental health funding over the next Parliament. New curbs on how much land can be bought by any individual or company to stop a small number of very rich people from hoarding Scotland. The biggest expansion of free childcare for a generation. 1,140 hours funded childcare to all 2-year-olds in Scotland, with 570 hours of funded childcare to every child from 6 months to 2 years old. An end to homework in primary schools and the outdated high-stakes exam system that means one bad day can impact a young person for the rest of their lives. £200 million for nature restoration, helping us to reverse years of decline and build that greener Scotland. A frequent flyer levy targeting the wealthy businessmen who are flying on a weekly basis. £600 million of green investment programme to lower bills and protect our planet. An end to tax breaks for the king and the super rich. A 40% increase to the Scottish Child Payment. And we're not shy to say that it will be funded by asking the wealthiest people and the biggest businesses to pay their fair share. And we're just getting started. And there is far more where they came from. But we can only deliver these kinds of bold policies if we have green MSPs who are prepared to work for them. And we all know what the alternatives look like. An SNP that's too cautious and scared to deliver the change we need. A Labour Party that's disgraced itself time and again while continuing many of the worst Tory policies. A hard-right Reform Party that wants to bring us back in time and implement the kind of policies that Enoch Powell would have envied. It's a party that's bankrolled by hedge fund managers, bankers, crypto investors and tax exiles, but pretends to be for ordinary people. What a load of chancers. The margins will be tight and every vote will be crucial, but the choice couldn't be clearer. Over the next 35 days, we'll be crossing Scotland, travelling the length and breadth of our country, sharing our positive vision and demanding better. And our message to Scotland is clear. If you want a fairer, greener and better Scotland, if you want green policies that will save you money and tackle the climate emergency, if you want to keep Reform's politics of hate out of Scotland's Parliament, then you have to vote for it. Join us in demanding better by voting for the Scottish Greens on May the 7th. Thankfully, I won't be travelling across the country alone. I'll be joined by my friend, my colleague and my co-leader, Ross Greer.
Thank you, Gillian, and thank you, friends. This is an event about the next 35 days and the potential that we've got for Scotland. But I want to start off by talking about something that people did 5 years ago. Because 5 years ago, a record number of people, 220,000 people, voted for the Scottish Greens. And every single one of those people, because of what they did, they delivered free bus travel for young people. They increased taxes on the super wealthy. They brought back rent controls in law for the first time in over 40 years. That was the power. That was the power of voting Green. That's what we were able to deliver. Green policies have saved families a fortune, tackled the climate emergency and made this country a fairer place. But we know that people are still struggling, especially right now. And because people are struggling, they are angry. That anger is being exploited right now by the forces of hate in our politics. And we know that it wasn't immigrants that made the cost of fuel go up. It wasn't asylum seekers that increased anyone's rent. Trans people definitely didn't make the weekly shop more expensive. But someone did all of that. Billionaires, tax avoiders, greedy landlords, they are the people really causing harm and division in our society. And it's no coincidence that they are the very same forces funding reform right now. This election is a choice of three. It's a choice between a failed status quo, between the forces of hate and the forces of hope. We are the movement that brings hope back to Scottish politics. That's why we are saying at this election something quite simple. Let's demand better. We know that Scotland is a country of incredible opportunities, but we are not able to realise them all because we are also an incredibly unequal country. The top 2% have more wealth than half of the population combined. But that's not inevitable. We can do something about that. Greens proved that time and again when we increased taxes on the super rich to fund the public services that everyone else needs. And we know that ordinary people are struggling right now. primarily because of the illegal war that America and Israel are now waging against Iran. And people are not just struggling here in Scotland or even in Europe, but across the world. In Australia, where they're experiencing exactly the same surge in the price of fuel, their Green Party demanded an emergency response. They demanded free public transport. And in Victoria and Tasmania, they have won. Those states will now deliver free public transport because the Greens demanded it. And our offer to voters at this election here in Scotland is simple. Every single vote for the Scottish Greens on the 7th of May is a vote for universal free bus travel in this country. That is the solution. Making our public transport cheaper, making our buses free, isn't just the solution to the cost of living crisis. It is essential if we are to tackle the greatest crisis that we all face, the climate crisis as well. And 5 years ago, Scotland was in a vastly different place when it came to the action we were taking to tackle the climate emergency. 5 years ago, we had Greens in government and a Nicola Sturgeon, a First Minister, who was opposed to new oil and gas fields in the North Sea. How far has the Scottish Government fallen from that position, where yet again last night the First Minister opened the door further to Jackdaw, to Rosebank, to those new fields? What a catastrophe that would be, not just for Scotland, but for our planet. We know our climate is in crisis, and we know that the planet will reach its tipping point during the next session of Scotland's Parliament. We cannot leave any stone unturned in tackling the climate crisis. And we have the same solutions. The solutions to the cost of living crisis and the solutions to the climate crisis are one and the same. It is policies like universal free bus travel. It's building on our success, like scrapping peak rail fares. And yes, all of that has to be funded. And it can be funded by fairly taxing the super rich, by fairly taxing corporate wealth. We have the solutions and we have a plan to deliver them. This is a critical moment for Scotland. It's a critical moment for our planet. So our message is simple to voters across the country. If you share the Scottish Greens vision, if you believe like us that this can be a better, a fairer, a kinder and a greener country, join our movement today. We have 35 days to demand better for Scotland. 35 days to change this country for the better and to change this country for good. Let's do it. Let's win.